There we go.
6:37,
I can
call the
mid all.
meeting to order.
Okay.
Mr.
Okay.
Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Sheasley,
Here.
Fisher,
Here.
Rautenstrau,
Here.
Mylum.
Here.
Council President Cook is excused.
Thank you. Please stand for the pledge and moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Please be seated. So we have a bit of a different agenda this evening. It's obviously a busy night. We have a presentation for the residents. We also have the mayor's state of the city address. So with that said, we are going to go through the agenda and try to get through the resolutions prior to the 7 o'clock official posted starting time of the presentation from Mr. Sutton. Everything has been ordered and filed. So let's start off with resolution number 1.
If I may,
Sure.
can I make a motion to waive the reading?
Of 1 to 10.
1 through 10. 1 through 10? Yes.
Pardon me?
You have to let people speak on the resolution.
Yes.
We're just waiving the reading right now. Okay, so we have a motion to waive the reading.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Rautenstrau. Please call the roll.
Sheasley,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum.
Aye. Before we get into the actual resolutions, is there anybody here who would like to comment on the resolutions? Anybody wishing to comment on the resolutions? We have one person coming up, Mr. Clerk. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Maria Zwiefka. My address is on file. On resolution 7, it says that there will be an upcoming nomination and appointment for Adam McNeil for city treasurer. I'm just curious as to why the council felt the need to replace Mr. Reese.
Would you like to answer that?
Yeah, we didn't replace him. Bill chose to go to Evans to another city.
That's not my understanding.
Oh, I'm sorry, I actually called the town of Evans and asked them that.
Right.
They said that he had asked for the job and he was given the job. So when I heard that, we had to look and I communicated with the council and we had to find somebody else.
So you communicated to Mr. Reese that he was going to be.
I gave Mr. Reese that
You communicated to Mr. Reese that he was going to be the appointee and then you discovered.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So I'm sorry you heard it wrong.
Anyone else wishing to speak on the resolutions? Mr. Clerk, is there anybody on the Zoom call who wishes to speak on the resolutions?
At this time, I do not have anyone that has raised their hand to speak on the resolutions on the Zoom call.
Excellent. Okay, with that, I think we can begin the resolutions. So resolution number 1. Sponsored by Mr. Sheasley. Do we have a second?
Fisher, yes.
Second by Mr. Fisher. Please call the roll.
Sheasley,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum.
Aye. Declare the resolution adopted. Resolution number 2 by Councilmember Rautenstrau. Do we have a second? Mr. Sheasley? Anybody have any comments or questions?
Just want to make a quick comment.
Sure.
I just wanted to, say that I'm excited for this moving forward in the city of Tonawanda. But I would like to specifically thank our city attorney and our deputy attorney for all the work that they've done on this back and forth. I think it's important that they have looked into the liability and made sure the city was protected. In as well as moving along this process, on an alternative to Spectrum Wanda. I'm excited for this to move forward, and I just want to say thanks, and thanks for the support of the mayor and the rest of the council currently, and the past council for getting us to this point.
Any other comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Cheesley,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye, declare the resolution adopted. Resolution number 3 by Mr. Fisher. Do we have a second?
Second.
By Mr. Sheasley. Any comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Cheesley,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye. Declare the resolution adopted. Resolution number 4 by Councilmember Rautenstrau. Comments or questions on this? Okay. Please call the roll. Oh, who's the second on that one? Who's second on that one? Fisher?
Bishop.
Okay, please call the roll.
Cheesley,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye. Declare the resolution adopted. Resolution number 5. Sponsored by Councilmember Sheasley. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Sean? Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Cheesley,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye, declare the resolution adopted. Resolution number 6 by the council, seconded by the council. Any questions or comments?
Comment.
Yep, go ahead.
I'm glad to see an annual event to kick off spring in the city of Tonawanda. I thank Mark Saltarelli for running that. So,
Thank you. Hoping the weather is nice on that day. Any other comments or questions? Okay, please call the roll.
Cheesley,
Aye.
Fisher,
aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye, declare the resolution adopted. Resolution number 7 by the council, second by the council. Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Cheesley,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye, declare the resolution adopted. Resolution number 8 by Councilmember Rautenstrau. Do we have a second? Beasley. Comments or questions on this? Okay. Please call the roll.
Cheesley,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye. Declare the resolution adopted. Resolution number 9 by Councilmember Rautenstrau. Do we have a second? Sure. Comments, questions? Please call the roll.
Cheesley,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye, declare the resolution adopted. Resolution number 10 by Councilmember Rautenstrau. Do we have a second?
Easily.
I'm just gonna alternate between them two. Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Cheesley,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Rautenstrau,
Aye.
Mylum,
Aye, declare the resolution adopted. Number 11 by Councilmember Rautenstrau. Second,
Easily.
comments or questions on this one? Okay, please call the roll.
Cheesley,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Ronstadt,
Aye.
Mylum.
Aye, declare the resolution adopted. We'll now take comments from the public after the resolutions.
But not on the public hearing.
Not on the public hearing yet, no.
All right, let me see if I can do this here. William Race, 72 Walter Avenue. I just want to make sure I get this on the record because I've been trying to talk about this for so many years. I've been involved in Tonawanda politics since 1996. So I'm a public office. And I've served continuously on one committee or another, switched over to the Democratic Committee in 2018. But I've been involved, I've worked with Mayor White. And I've always tried to have people understand, you always should be out there looking for what's best for the city and what the next step is. You know, you can't hang in there for 100 years. Joe was here, my predecessor, Joe Hogenkamp, did a wonderful job. He was here for 34 years. He started when he was 32 years, he started when he was 24. Watching how he was a steady hand on the rudder for the city for 30 years was good to watch. When Joe finally found that after 32 years and the pension maxing out, that he finally found time to step down, we were looking at the time, we were only looking at a computer change. It was wonderful. I've known Joe. I supported Joe when I was on the Republican Committee. We had talked an awful lot over the years. I spent a lot of time in his office as a council person should, talking to the treasurer when I was a councilman for those 10 minutes in 2018. But it's important that we always kept looking. So when Joe finally decided it was time to leave, his biggest problem was who was up next. And I hopefully he felt he was lucky that they found that I was there and I had 40 years as an accountant at the time. Since I've been on, I was lucky enough to be appointed to the Charter Revision Committee by Mayor Davis. On that, we worked with some great people, working with former Alderman Smyers, former Mayor Pelosi, former Alderperson Cyphus, former Alderperson Greg. We had a great committee. I learned so much serving on there. We had Mr. Cook was on as a citizen. We had Skip Johnson as a historian. Skip's father used to be the treasurer back in the early 80s. So we had some wonderful stuff and we went through the entire charter. We looked at it. We really made some changes. And one of the things we wanted to do was, one, bring the city attorney and the city treasurer back kind of where everyone else in municipal government does. Hiring competent staff and then having the ability to remove if there's a problem. Now, we did change it. The charter went through at November 2022. The last city attorney in the state that's still elected is over in North Tonawanda. So I'm proud of the changes we made. And change is always hard. People want it to stay the same, but we always understand that we have to change for reasons. We saw with NT, you know, things happen and you have to start to wonder if a person can do certain things. It's good to have that out clause. It's good to rely on the mayor and the council to make these decisions. Because honestly, I don't think the average person realizes what the treasurer does or would have the reason why they'd want to vote for one or the other. There's times in my office, I'm dealing with $36 million. You don't want just anyone in that office. So when I was asked in 2022, when I stood in front of the council about the charter revision, before it passed, I was asked by the mayor, what would I do if the factions all came together and I didn't have the votes? And I made the comment at that point, as long as a competent person was hired, which is what the charter was to do, I'm fine. Because the city is protected, the city will roll on, the council will have the support they need, the mayor will have the help. Working from then, I got on everyone's nerves when I stood back here and said, if anyone's interested, if you got a relative, you got a kid, send them my way. Not because I didn't want the position. I love the job, I love the staff, I love working with city government. It's something I want to do for way too long. But I said, if I have that competent person, last June, I ran into our next city treasurer, hopefully if the council does it tonight. I've known Adam since he was probably 9 or 10. He's very well respected in the community. He has very strong family ties to the community. He has a CPA license and he has a good degree, and he also has a couple of records from across the canal. So he's someone that can stand up to the challenge that's coming. I don't think he's going to be standing up here talking about the fund balance, but hopefully in a couple of years when he feels really confident, he'll be up here. But he's someone that can learn and shepherd and be there for the long haul. And I'm happy that I'm still young enough to be able to answer his phone calls. We still have our predecessor, Joe, was willing to work and who knows Adam since he was also quite young. So we have a very strong transition team going forward, and we're happy. Again, I love this job. Honestly, as long as I had someone that I really feel comfortable is not going to be a problem for the city, someone I can be proud to say is doing the job, and I can call on the phone and he can give me a call and feel comfortable talking to me, I think the city is really better for it. Do I wish we had had better communication and maybe made it a little smoother? It's politics, right? I mean, we all know this is how it works, and I fully understand. As it is, I think the city will do very well. I'm in a very comfortable spot. I've had a chance to move on to a different municipality where the workload's actually a little bit less, and I can feel 60 and not be tired all the time. But I am excited to welcome Adam to the job if you guys vote tonight. And I think the city will find that the charter revision was correct for what we did. And the statement I made, as long as I had a competent person that the council and the mayor were willing to appoint, I wasn't going to sit there and try over spilled milk. I'm really happy that the city has a strong, independent, intelligent, professional treasurer moving forward. So for the people that don't want to see me gone because now the cookies will get stale and the bread will be left and the pizza will sit in the fridge, we'll get used to that. We'll find other people to eat the food. But I think in the long run, just be aware. I already told the mayor I'm going to serve on whatever commission he wants to put me on, whatever committee. Adam knows that if he calls me or if he calls Joe, he's going to get an answer right back. I hope everyone on the council and the mayor knows if you really need an answer and Adam's not in the office or he doesn't know the answer, call me on the phone. I'm here. I love the city. I'm going to keep doing whatever I can to help the city. And you know, again, I kind of wish we had gotten communication better, but I've been in politics for 25 years and this really wasn't the worst thing under. So I'm very happy and I'm excited to congratulate Adam, assuming you guys vote tonight, and welcome him to the new position and then be there to help support to make sure that he is the treasurer that can help you guys work on some of the issues we know are coming as the budget cycle. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill.
So at this time, we're going to suspend our meeting before the mayor gives his state of the city address to allow Mr. Sutton and Mr. Hopkins to do their presentation on the proposed development at Riverview. The way we're going to keep, if there's anybody who's wishing to speak, we are going to hold to a 3-minute strict time limit after they are done with the presentation. If we cannot have people shouting out and asking questions during the presentation, as they won't get through it. So please reserve your questions till the end. I promise you, we're here all night as long as you guys need, and we'll answer questions. So thank you. And just to make it clear as well, we are not taking a vote on the rezoning this evening. Sorry. It could be as soon as February 22nd, which would be our next meeting. That's the date off the top of my head, but it'd be the 20th, third Tuesday of the month. We will certainly inform people. I'll make sure people know when that vote's going to be taken. All yours, gentlemen.
Yeah, so can everyone hear me first of all?
Yep.
Good evening, my name is Sean Hopkins and I'm from the law firm of Hopkins, Dorsey and McCarthy. And I'm the attorney for the applicant. The applicant itself is actually 55 Taylor Drive LLC. One of the members, Dave Sutton, who also happens to be the project architect, is standing on my left. And then also one of his additional partners, Paul Grenauer, is sitting on the far side of the room. So I do want to note a couple of things before we begin. Number one, and I want to make this clear, not only to the council, but to those in attendance, we are not asking for a decision this evening. I'll explain why in a minute. Number two, we want to express appreciation, first of all, for providing us with this opportunity. But secondly, and just as importantly, we had an informational meeting early last week. It was very well attended. And the focus of our presentation this evening is going to be on what we've done in response to that input. We've scheduled an additional informational meeting with everyone who's interested next Monday at the Fletcher Elementary School at the same time at 6 p.m. Finally, I want to note, Dave actually does have copies of the updated plan we're going to present. We've handed them out to certain people in the audience. Are there others who would like to see them? We'll do that now, so it'll be easier to follow along. While Dave's doing that, I'll begin, but we're gonna lead up to how we got there. Dave is also. So I've already indicated who the applicant is. Obviously, I think we're all very familiar with the property itself. Two parcels located at 55 Taylor Drive, 312 Hamilton. We entered into a contract to purchase this site on September 1st of 2023. We did actually present the project as originally proposed to the school board during its meeting on December 12th of 2023. The size of this site is quite large compared to the typical vacant elementary school in West New York. It's 9 acres in size. And why we're here this evening is we're asking this common council to consider, not this evening, but at a future meeting, a request to amend the zoning classification of this site from R1, which is its current zoning classification, to R2, which would be necessary to accommodate the project. I think I've already mentioned the third bullet point. There'll be a second informational meeting held next Monday, February 12th at 6 p.m. at the elementary school at 555 Fletcher Street. We did send invite letters to all the property owners within 250 feet last Friday. It was over 100 letters. I don't know if people received them yet, but if you haven't, you'll be receiving them shortly. It's also my understanding that this invite letter has been posted on the community webpage. During that meeting, we presented a concept plan. Concept plan that has since changed. And I also want to note that if and when ultimately this board approves the rezoning, that's not the end of this process. We'll have to come back after we prepare fully engineered plans for both site plan approval and subdivision approval. And that's important because that'll provide the opportunity for additional discussion with all stakeholders. Survey of the project site. I think we all know where the building is today. It's currently vacant. So this is the concept plan that we presented to you during your meeting on January 3rd, and also presented to neighbors during the informational meeting early last week. And at that point in time, what we're proposing was 4 separate components. First, the conversion of the vacant elementary school into 60 units, which would include a 2nd-story addition. That would bring the entire building up to approximately the height of the existing auditorium. Secondly, we have a 3-story building that is directly adjacent. You can see with that courtyard feature in between. That would be a mixture of one bedroom, 2-bedroom units. We had 6 2.5-story townhome units around the frontages on all 3 streets, and that equated to 60 units. We were showing 336 parking spaces, and then finally 5 single-family homes. We got some real useful input on this particular layout during that meeting. And I'm going to summarize, and please, residents, know there was a ton of input received. This is not meant to be each and every comment, but I thought it would be helpful to summarize. Number one, we heard quite clear that the density was a little too much. And most importantly, and it was one particular neighbor said, hey, can we look at maybe putting single-family homes around the edges rather than those 6 townhome buildings? And of course, we couldn't make a decision that evening, but you'll see we've taken that into consideration. We were also asked, well, why can't we just develop this whole thing as a single-family subdivision? Put in new roads, put in new infrastructure. And the answer to that is quite clearly, it's just not economically feasible. By way of comparison, the cost of a new roadway, public roadway, both the public specifications these days with sewer, water, et cetera, is $800 per linear foot. You just can't make it work. We're asked what the height of the new 3-story building would be. The maximum height would be 35 feet. Dave, who's part of the applicant's team and also the architect, is envisioning a flat roof. We're asked what would be the price point for the new homes. And unfortunately, the price point of new single-family homes nowadays in West New York is $250 to $300 per square foot. We're envisioning the houses would be 1,600 to 2,200 square foot. So you can do the math. And, there's no way that we're probably building a new single-family home on the site for anything less than $400,000. We also envision, given we're in the city of Tonawanda, similar to where Dave and I live in the village of Williamsville, there's not many lots available for new single-family homes. I think you're going to see some ranches and Cape Cods, those types of houses on the site. We're asked, is there residential demand for these units? And absolutely there is. We've done our due diligence. We're comfortable that we're gonna need an appraisal from an appraising company. That'll get approved by the bank in terms of financing. But yes, there is demand. What will be the rents for these apartments? We envision, again, projected $1,350 to $1,800 per month. And it's important to note, none of these units will be subsidized housing. This is market rate housing built with upscale amenities inside and outside. We're asked whether landscaping could be added along Hamilton, screen the parking lot for the redeveloped school, which we'll show you in a second. We've done. We're asked how much the annual property tax will be. And the answer to that, of course, is based on the assessed value, but this will be assessed. We're asked, will there be public garbage disposal? And the answer to that is no. We will be responsible for garbage disposal. We'll be responsible for maintenance of all infrastructure on site: sewer, water, lighting, landscaping, stormwater management, et cetera, et cetera. Question that came up from the school superintendent was whether or not the school district can handle any increase of demand for educational services. We were advised they could. It was actually quite awesome to be in that new elementary school, but it has been designed to accommodate additional demand. We're asked whether there's sanitary sewer capacity. That analysis is underway, but so far the results are good. We, of course, will have to work with the city engineer, Jason Lamonico, to provide some off-site mitigation. That's done via lateral replacement. One of the questions that came up during the meeting was, well, who gets those lateral replacements? And we met with Jason last week. He indicated it's done via a lottery process. That was the comment from one of the residents. We're asked about drainage. There's a couple of residents in the vicinity, including on the adjacent cul-de-sac, that have some existing drainage problems right behind the rear of their lots. We'll be required to handle that. We have to design an on-site stormwater management system that can handle a 100-year storm event. And your competent city engineer, Jason, will confirm that's true. And then traffic impacts. And there's no denying the fact this project will generate traffic. As a result of some modifications we made, we don't think that represents a significant impact, and actually have some trip projections that I'll present in a couple of slides. So here's the, this is the new plan. So this is the new plan. This plan is just being unveiled publicly for the first time this evening. This is a plan that Dave has handed out to the residents in attendance. This is the plan we'll be discussing during our informational meeting next week. I'm going to touch on the highlights. Number one, we've eliminated the 6 2.5-story townhome buildings along Taylor Drive, Wadsworth Avenue. As you can recall, they were on Taylor and Wadsworth. We've infilled those instead with single-family homes, which was exactly one of the comments that we received. So instead of those 60 units around the perimeter, we're now showing a total of 18 single-family homes, whereas before we had 5 single-family. We're still going to proceed with the conversion of the vacant elementary school to 60 units. And then you can also see we still have that parallel, but set back from Wadsworth Avenue, 3-story, 6-unit building, again, with a peak height of 35 feet, which mirrors what's allowed for a single-family home in the city. As a result of those changes, the total density is now 138 units spread across that 9 acres. Whereas the R2 zoning classification that we're seeking would allow a maximum of 195 units, and whereas before we were at 185 units. We've reduced the number of parking spaces to 240 parking spaces. And you can see deliberately in terms of the new multifamily building, those parking spaces are tucked behind the single-family homes. That will provide 2 parking spaces per unit, which we are 100% comfortable will accommodate all parking demand, not only for tenants, but their visitors. We're well aware of the fact that obviously there's parking limitations, especially during winter months on the adjacent public streets. Finally, we did add some landscaping along Hamilton Drive. It's important to note that in connection with the site plan process, we will submit a landscaping plan, and all of that will be spelled out in detail. We've increased the amount of green space. This excludes the rear yards for the homes to approximately 23.4%, or nearly a quarter of the site. And then we have accommodated what we need to do in terms of an on-site stormwater management system. All the details of which will need to be fully engineered and reviewed and approved, not only by your engineering department, but by the needs. These are some conceptual renderings of the single-family homes that we presented. And it's important to note, these are literally meant to be renderings. We've heard some useful input in terms of home styles. And I think looking at this a little bit further, we envision there'll be some ranches, We envision there'll probably be some demand for 2-car garages. So these are just representative images. Dave is a very competent and well-known architect. He'll be working in terms of the design of the single-family homes. Those will be based on the individual preferences of those the purchasers of those homes. It's also important to note that the project team that's been assembled in connection with this project has credibility. They've been successful in numerous other communities in Western New York, and we're just going to give you a couple of examples. The best example nearby, and I want to make clear this is not an identical project, was the redevelopment of the vacant school at 460 Wheatfield Street. That building had been vacant for a very long time. The project came out wonderfully. I think it's been very well received by the neighborhood. And in fact, some of the tenants, a lot of them are former employees, former students, and people who lived in the immediate vicinity. Anyone who wants to visit that, Dave would be glad to arrange a tour. So we envision we can do something very similar in terms of the current vacant elementary school. We also worked on a project at 3980 Bailey Avenue, which is close to the South Campus of the University of Buffalo. Some of you may recall there used to be a Pizza Hut there, located directly next to the KFC. There was also a former junkyard. That's been renovated as 2.5-story buildings, similar to the buildings that we've eliminated along the street frontage. And then finally, the project that's underway right now is at 5877 Main Street in the village of Williamsville, which I call the old Milo's site. That's a 4-story mixed-use building, retail space on the first floor, and 30 upper floor apartments. That's also been well received. It should be available for occupancy during 2024. One of the important considerations in connection with any rezoning request, whether it's in the city of Tonawanda or any other community, is whether or not that request is consistent with the comprehensive plan. We believe it is for several reasons. Number one, the comprehensive plan clearly recognizes there's a need for new housing in the city of Tonawanda. And secondly, that any new housing should not be limited to only single-family homes. So we're incorporating the hybrid approach, single-family homes, upscale multifamily units. So we think it'll be a nice end product. All the infrastructure, as I indicated, will be privately owned and maintained, which is good in terms of the city's fiscal balance, fiscal budget. The only potential incentive we may see, we want to disclose this, is we may be eligible for partial pilot from the Erie County IDA limited to the redevelopment of the school. And there's some things we would have to work through to do that. We have had those discussions. No application has been filed. We're at least going to consider that as part of our financial analysis. As I indicated, the project will be owned, operated, and maintained by a company with a track record of success. The goal of Dave Paul and his third partner, Dave Floyd, is to own and maintain these long terms. It will not be a flip. It will stay with them for many years. And they wouldn't make this multi-million-dollar investment unless they were to keep it. And then finally, the comprehensive plan does recognize the benefits of infill redevelopment, meaning, hey, we have a piece of property. I think everyone in this room could agree we wouldn't be good for it to become, as other schools have in West New York, where it's vacant on a long-term basis. That results in many issues. Due diligence. We've done a lot of due diligence since September of last year. We've obtained updated surveys. We're waiting for an updated abstract of title. We've evaluated, Dave, I think, has probably about 42 different layouts. The one that we're presenting to you this evening, the most current one. We did have a phase 1 done, indicated there is no contamination on the site. There is some asbestos in the existing building. No big surprise. We'll work with your building department to make sure that's properly remediated. And then finally, as I indicated, we have ordered a downstream sanitary sewer capacity analysis, and we're well aware of the city's requirements in terms of iodine. And that requirement is basically as follows per DEC guidance. For every gallon of sanitary sewer that we put in, we have to take out 4 gallons. So while it sounds strange, in the end, you're actually improving sanitary sewer capacity in the city of Tonawanda. In terms of review process, I think I've touched on most of these points, but I want to emphasize a couple of them. Number one, again, informational meeting next Monday, 6 o'clock, the elementary school. Number two, not asking for a decision this evening. We are hoping that you would be in a position to consider issuing a negative declaration and approving the rezoning based on the new plan during your meeting 2 weeks from this evening. If ultimately that works out in our favor, we'll then proceed to close on the project site from the school district. Then we'll come back in front of the city in the future in connection with the request for site plan and subdivision approval with fully engineered plans. From the perspective of neighbors, that will provide the opportunity for additional input and comments. This project is subject to the State Environmental Quality Review Act because it represents a discretionary land use decision. We filed an environmental assessment form with our application on January 3rd of last year. The city opted to conduct a coordinated environmental review, which we believe was a good idea, even though not required. And now, as of today, all of the involved agencies have commented and indicated they agree this common council should be the lead agency. And that includes the Erie County Water Authority, the Tonawanda City School District, the DEC, and then finally, we received a letter from the Erie County IDA today as well. Stormwater management. So stormwater management, I want to touch on very briefly because it came up again and again during an informational meeting. In connection with this project, because we'll be disturbing more than 1 acre of land, it's a 9-acre site, will be required to comply with the most stringent stormwater quality and quantity standards of the DEC. And that includes providing an on-site stormwater management system that can handle a 1-year, 25-year, and 100-year storm event. That includes providing stormwater quality improvements to make sure that no contaminants get into that system. We did also provide you with a stormwater summary letter prepared by our engineer, Chris Wood from Carmina Wood Design, that touches in great detail on all that information. I've mentioned sanitary sewer capacity. One topic that always comes up in connection with any project is lighting. Rest assured, the lighting will be low level and there will be no lighting spillover onto adjacent properties. We will prepare and provide a photometric plan in connection with the site plan approval process. Traffic impacts. In terms of traffic, as a result of the modifications we've made, there's what's known as the Institute of Transportation Engineers, and they have trip projections for every type of project imaginable. And based on their trip projections for this project, what they're showing during the weekday AM peak is 18 vehicles entering, 58 vehicles exiting. During the weekday PM peak, a total of 57 vehicles entering and 35 exiting. What we have found is over time, especially over the course of the past 40 years of COVID, is more and more people are able to work from home. More and more people work a couple of days a week. There's more flexibility in terms of hours. Employers have to offer those benefits. So we think in terms of traffic, everything will work. And then obviously, comparing to what was there in elementary school, while it was very small periods of time throughout the day, actually probably generated more traffic than what we're showing. I think I've talked about everything else. I do want to note that ultimately at the end, we have to get building permits. That's important because it'll demonstrate compliance with the New York State Energy Code, accessibility codes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So finally, what we would ask you to do this evening is ultimately, after everyone has spoken, to close the public hearing and tentatively schedule a decision date for your meeting on February 20th. And I do want to note that after this public hearing is done, we've had the opportunity to speak to some of the residents before the public hearing. Any resident who's in attendance and wants to discuss this further certainly can do so. So thank you for providing us with the opportunity to give this presentation. If there's any questions that are asked that you'd like us to answer, make an effort to do so.
Sean, thank you very much. If we can bring the sheets up, the yellow sheets, we're going to call the individuals up. You get 3 minutes to speak. You got about 30 seconds left. We will let you know that your time is getting short. Debbie Darling, when you come up, please get close to the microphone and just state your address.
Debbie Darling, 263 Brookside Terrace, have been a resident for over years. Just some comments I want to make, and I know that some of my comments may be a little bit different from the presentation that we just saw, but I still want to make them. So as far as the occupancy goes, the builder was targeting a market of young professionals, empty nesters, seniors, and possibly retired that didn't want to have the homeowner responsibilities. But studies show that those individuals also are looking for a more urban setting with more commercial amenities such as restaurants, shops, other retail businesses in close proximity, if sometimes not even within walking distance. The Riverview site does not offer any of that. That location does not have any close big retail stores such as Walmart, Target, Home Depot, so on and so forth. Nor does it have any grocery stores other than, say, Top, Aldi's or Trader Joe's. And if any of the occupants of these buildings or these rentable buildings would also have to rely on public transportation, there's really nothing available that's close to that to get them to those off-site businesses. The Riverview location also, sorry, I lost my train of thought here, the residents probably do not want to have bus line brought in to accommodate those people that might rely on public transportation. We're worried enough about the traffic as it is, we don't need a bus line to add to that. Other studies have shown that many renters on average do not get to know their neighbors and rely on the me time, or that they're, solely one person and they don't want to interact with other people. Even when the common space is provided in the compounds of an apartment setting, most have chosen not to utilize the opportunity to connect, let alone foster community involvement, that many of the residents have taken pride in doing so and supporting their nonprofit organizations. There's a program on TV, it's called The Great Disconnect. It's a program that I recently saw, and it focuses on how the sense and security and trust of a healthy, well-being community comes from residents that take pride in the ownership of their property and their property value. They take time to get to know and share their habitat with their other neighbors, even if it's only sharing a fence in your backyard. They have a financial interest in the community. Some renters would not have all that. Sorry.
Heard about 40 seconds left.
Sorry. So, okay, in closing, this all boils down to that this is a neighborhood of not temporary short-term location to live. We do not want to provide or promote multiple dwellings that potentially have a yearly turnaround of occupancy. If we wanted to live in a city-like environment like that, we would have chose to live there. While all this has brought the neighborhood together as a unit is to bring our concerns to you, we know that the school was there in the beginning and we chose to live here. But now we have this project we're more or less being forced to accept. I don't want to say accept, but a lot of things don't apply here. So I think many of us would applaud the development of this parcel of land being single-family home ownerships, allowing us to share our neighborhood.
Deb, you're at the end, Deb.
Pride of the well-being and prosper of our community.
Thank you. Thank you, Deb. Thank you. Next up is John Cheeto.
Hi, John Sheeto, 259 Brookside Terrace. And one of my concerns about the project is up and down Wadsworth, Taylor, and Hamilton. Yeah, that one, Hamilton. Would the parking still be restricted to one side of the street with all the new homes there? And I don't know.
It would be, it would be, yes.
That would be a major concern.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
Sir.
Great. Next up, David Wright.
My name is David Wright. I'm at 54 Taylor, lifelong resident, and I've been up on the hill for about 25 years, and I'm one of the newbies up there. We don't want this, okay? It's residential one for a reason, and it should stay residential one, okay? You guys have the power to do that. You guys are gonna make that decision for us, okay? And I want you guys to really think long and hard what you're doing to this area. If you guys are in favor of this project, it's gonna destroy the area, okay? And I appreciate the developers, It's not even a year that this school has been vacant. We're taking the first offer. Why? Okay, give it some time. Okay, let's do this right. Don't jump at the first dollar or opportunity to get it off the books. Okay, we want single family residential all the way through. We don't want this apartment complex. Okay, I went to Riverview. I understand it holds, holds a lot of things for different people. I'd rather see it taken down in single family than do what we're doing or what we're talking about here. Please, you would not want this in your front yard, okay? And I want you guys to think long and hard before you make your vote to this. Thank you.
Next up is Becky Graff.
My name is Becky Graff and I live at 315 Wadsworth Court. So I'm the concerned neighbor about the drainage because my backyard backs up to the property and it is underwater about a foot right now, and it lasts that way all the way till June. So my question is, how can you even decide that you can afford the drainage reconstruction or whatever if you haven't been given that plan by the engineer? Like, they haven't even told you what needs to be done yet. What if they turn around and tell you that it costs $500,000? Are you going to accept that and pay that bill so that you can move forward with this plan, or will you walk away?
Would you prefer that we answer all the questions at the end? How do you want us?
It's up to you. If you have an answer for her, go ahead. Absolutely. There's only like 6 people, so go ahead.
That's the other-
I'll pause your time, I'll pause your time as well, so.
Okay, my other question is I know the other day you mentioned the end of the building that is towards the back of my
Right.
house will have minimal windows. Is that like first story, second story, third story windows? Like, I don't want people to be looking down at me and my pool. I'm trying to have a good time and they're like staring at me because that's a little weird. And if there are no windows, can the center windows, will they be able to see into our yard, or will those buildings be blocking each other's view? Because that's really concerning. Our whole privacy is gone.
Sean?
I can address that question. I mean, obviously. Just for the record, my name is Dave Sutton, the developer interested in this property as well as the architect. So the good part about this is I do have the ability to take the neighbor input and design this project accordingly. And I did state during the public participation meeting that we had, or informational meeting we had last week, that we would be respectful to Wadsworth Court and the neighbors regarding the back of their property and minimize or eliminate altogether all windows that would be directly impacting their property. The windows and the design that's being proposed right now is the windows would all be facing the parking lot or the interior courtyard, with minimizing any views that would adjacently impact the neighbors. And we're going to continue to develop that design. I want to tell everybody today, I'm not here proposing a final design. The last meeting that we had with the neighbors was very beneficial for us, as myself as a designer and the developer. And I think that we've made great strides in terms of altering the project in order to respect some of the neighbors' concerns. I ultimately want to be a good neighbor to the project. I want to preserve the building. I'm not interested at this point in time in knocking down the building and putting in a road. That's not really in the cards for me. I really want to use this building. I want to be as neighbor friendly as possible, and I want a successful project. And I will continue to take neighbor input, especially some of the directly impacted neighbors that have concerns. Do everything I can to modify and adjust the design to respect each one of the individual comments. So the drainage that's being talked about, I think, we talked a little bit about the window or the visual impact. The drainage itself, it will be engineered. I mean, in terms of having a zero impact on your stormwater management system. But I also am prepared, and I've already reached out to my civil engineer that's doing the stormwater management for me, to suggest that there are a need to spend time, especially on that portion of the property, to address not only our drainage concerns on our property, but possibly impactful for adjacent properties. My hope is that I would design a system that would actually help or correct. And by no means would I ever create a situation which would compound or impact in a negative way the adjacent properties. And that would be by ways of putting up berms or dams or something. We're all in favor of taking any water that currently is impacted on the property and using that as part of our stormwater management, and actually taking
responsibility for that water that's actually coming onto the property. So those are, two big items that will be continued to be developed. And I can assure you that we will, through stormwater management and through the design of the building, address all of those concerns of adjacent neighbors.
Thank you, David. Next up is Tammy Brennan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tammy Brennan. I live at 282 Wadsworth Avenue in the city of Tonawanda, along with my husband and 2 children. We've been there for the last 18 years. Over the past 18 years, we have enjoyed having the school there, seeing the green space used for soccer games, kids learning to ride their bikes. Kids have been able to ride their bike up and down the street because the volume of traffic has been low. It's a quiet area. And we were very sad to see the school close, and I recognize that something does need to be done with the site. I am going to refer to the city's comprehensive plan, which I did have a chance to read through over the past week. Regarding the creation of sustainable neighborhoods, the goal is to create sustainable neighborhoods through infill development and carefully planned reinvestment in existing neighborhoods. And I underlined carefully planned. And I would refer to my neighbor Dave, who said, let's not jump at the first proposal that comes in, because the residents of this neighborhood are voicing our grave concerns to you, our elected representatives, that we don't want this. I will reiterate what Dave said, and I feel that I speak for the majority of the residents in the surrounding areas, that we don't want this. And I will go into some of the reasons. Mr. Sutton did address the traffic congestion with some predictions, but I don't believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that a formal traffic study was completed. And I would love to see one done before any decision is made to even rezone, because I watched pickup and drop off time for school. So 9 a.m., 3:15 p.m. And it became very hectic. And that was for maybe 15, 20 minutes. And we were all used to that. But now you're talking about rush hour, when all of us are also trying to get off to work and coming home from work. And I'm approximating around 300, 270 parking spots. That's a lot of traffic, and it will severely negatively impact our neighborhood. One of the exits is right across from my house, and that's gonna create a severe, it's just a negative impact on our ability to park on our streets. The kids won't be able to ride around on their bikes, etc. And I'm doing my best to stick to 3 minutes, but I would like to comment that the first gentleman this evening went way over 3 minutes. So on page 55 of the city's plan, it does state residents feel there is a need for more single family and starter homes in the community. So I recognize that this plan does include some more single family homes, but it also includes apartment buildings. I would like to comment on homeowner mentality versus the tenant mentality. If you're paying $200,000 to $350,000 for a brand new house, you're going to take your garbage out every week. You're going to mow your lawn, keep your yard clean and presentable. You're going to maintain the exterior of your home. This does not hold true for a tenant who rents the apartment because they don't want to do maintenance. They're not going to be as concerned about taking their garbage out.
Time is up.
Okay, I would like to continue considering the other gentlemen. I have a few more things to say, and I would appreciate your, and I think that everybody else here that are residents would like to hear.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Please, take 9 minutes.
There is a supplemental research report included online after the city's comprehensive plan, and it's regarding code violations, and it states the data from the city of Tonawanda's parcel file suggests that single family homes may not be the problem. Single family residential homes make up 76% of parcels in the city. Only 6% of these parcels are owned by someone who does not live in the 1415L zip. The issue of disinvestment and code violations often presents itself through income properties. These rental properties are often owned by someone who has no ties to the community. Williamsville is not the city of Tonawanda. These may be more likely, and I'm reading this right from our website, these may be more likely to receive less investment than their owner occupied counterparts, which will lead to disrepair, decline in value, and potentially violation of multiple codes. So this will lead to a decrease in our property values and safety potentially. So one more comment, Mr. Sutton could sell this development at any time. He is saying, yes, I'm in it for the long haul. Who's to say that 10 years down the road, he's not going to sell to somebody else after he has recouped his investment? There are other developments in this city that started out high-end apartments. The buildings to the left of the old junior high, the Kibler apartments, not that building, but the ones to the left, they were originally high-end apartments. They are now low-income apartments. So that's just one example. I urge you as our elected representatives, we are all urging you not to jump into this decision looking at the bottom line. Please explore alternatives like building new homes. This is what we all want, is new homes. We recognize that the building cannot remain empty. We don't want a zombie school. We're not asking for that. We're asking for new homes to keep our neighborhood intact, keep that homeowner mentality going, keep the safety and appearance and home values high. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Tammy. Next up is David Bentley.
David Bentley, 264 Brookside Terrace, Tonawanda. We do not want this. These people here, I think, are all against it, and we're the ones that are affected by it. And the lady that just spoke, her and her husband, they have a beautiful house. They made a beautiful house for the parents next door. Now, everybody that comes out of that parking lot, the headlights are gonna shine right in their front window. And a couple other people's too. I hear a lot of, I think, and I believe, do you realize people rent these apartments? A lot of times they take in other tenants and they have, let's say 10 young kids living in one apartment and they're going to college and whatever. And we're talking about a lot more cars than what you're talking about. And every single one of them has to come right down that street and then turn right on Taylor to get out of here. I think this is a nightmare. If you looked at the fact that we had the radiation on the hill over there, it's not all taken care of. It'll be a long time before they know whether that radiation is gonna come out of that hill still. And you're talking about the water back there, it's on the town. A lot of it's on the town and it comes into our city. It's not being taken care of and you're not gonna fix it. I don't believe you will. You live in Williamsville, correct? I looked on the site where you did the same exact thing in Williamsville. 2 out of 5 people do not like it. They're not happy with it. It wasn't maintained. It wasn't quality. Oh, look right on the internet. It's right on the internet. Yeah, you check it out yourself. And I'm not answering your questions, okay? But I think you blew a lot of hot air here. You can laugh if you want, but it's not affecting you. We don't know what kind of people are gonna be there. They may be better than all of us, but they may be a lot worse. And we don't want it. Our schools are a little bit overcrowded now. What about all those kids that are coming and are gonna go into the schools from that place? Dumpsters. Take a ride by Raintree Island and go behind the buildings. It's loaded with dumpsters for the people. Garbage all over the place. I've driven through there many times. Rats as well. And you're gonna have the same thing up here. I think this is a nightmare. I'm amazed that you would invest so much money in looking into this and you haven't even got the okay to do it. It's not zoned for you. Do you have some reason to believe it will be zoned? Yes?
No, we'll answer the question.
Well,
Are you letting him speak now? Is that what you're
You want me
doing?
to respond? I will.
no.
You
I
told
don't
him you're not
want to
listening
respond.
to him.
I wouldn't believe you anyway, I'm sorry to say.
Sure.
And this zoning, what if it's not zoned? How much money have you invested? That's what I would like to know. How much money have you invested just drawing up all this stuff already?
Go ahead, David.
Just in case. You want me to respond?
Sure.
Yes.
I'm going to respond.
I hope so.
I want to make clear, we're here, no, we have absolutely no guarantee relative to a rezoning, of course not.
About nothing.
But in order to be in a position to maximize success of this project, money has to be spent, yeah. A great deal of money has been spent, probably $100,000 in terms of asbestos reports, phase ones, architectural plans, consultations with engineers. That's how development works, by very definition. And I want to also make clear, the investment in this project is about $25 million. It is a huge investment. This project team, through decades of hard work, has the financial means to pull that off. But yeah, will it be expensive? There was a question, well, how do you know you can pay for the drainage? The drainage system by itself, just to get the engineered plans, will be $100,000. So yeah, is there a lot of money? Yes, there is. The project team is prepared to accept that. And I wasn't taking exception, sir, to your comments when you say, hey, there's other projects they've done and there's all kinds of violations. That's simply not the case. It's not true. I mean, you can go check any of the projects this project team has worked on. They're very well maintained. They're immaculately maintained.
Yeah.
And you'll see there's no outstanding code violations for any of them. That's a fact.
Check it out online.
Yes.
I'm not saying anything online is true, but I can get a 2 out of 5 rating. About your apartment saying building and things, so.
All right, I just want to make a point that this was just a questions and answer period for, we need to find out if the council's going to vote to make it an R1, keep it an R1, or vote to move it to an R2. And it's not tonight, the decision's not going to be made tonight. So this was to get input from the public, and that's what it was promoted as, and we want to thank everybody for your input tonight. So what I want to do is, I want to ask, is there any other questions that need to be asked regarding to this moving from zone 1 to zone 2?
Why aren't we even trying? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question for them on the plan that we did not discuss at the meeting last week at Fletcher, the asbestos removal. And forgive me, this is not my area of expertise at all. But when I hear about asbestos removal, I become concerned since I live right across the street. I understand the workers will probably have the hazmat suits on, but what guarantees can we make that the surrounding houses will not be exposed to the air?
Yeah, for sure. The asbestos report was complete and they identified all the asbestos internal. And what would happen is a qualified company would come in and actually complete the removal with a high quality of air evaluation, mostly internal because it's not going to be outside of the building. But I can assure you that there is no impact, not only on your property, but also directly outside the property. And the people that are removing the asbestos are obviously highly monitored. So it's a very safe thing. It's very controlled. And I can assure you that it will be done properly with zero impact on adjacent properties.
And Dave, can you explain what the asbestos is? Like what? Why is there
Yeah,
asbestos?
the asbestos, the majority of the asbestos is actually in floor tile, which was very common in the year when this was built. And that floor tile is not a pliable type of material, but it has to be removed and removed properly. So when it's removed properly, meaning wetting it down and removing it properly, there's minimal disruption to it, which makes it airborne, but it's going to be done properly and it has minimal impact on air quality within the building, less yet no impact on adjacent properties. And that is monitored continually to make sure that there is no breaches in that process. So, and that's a company that is very qualified, certified in New York State with a high level of accountability. So, and one thing that I can say in response to some of the comments, I do want to be a good neighbor. I am proposing what I feel to be a good project. And I do have, and had offered in the past, if anybody wants to come out to my other project, take a walk through, do a tour, talk to my tenants and see what I've done. I welcome that. And I did offer that at the last meeting. I will offer it again at the next public informational meeting. The informational meeting was very helpful for me. I got a lot more interaction. This unfortunately was more of a presentation. I do invite anybody to talk to me after the meeting or reach out to me individually with their individual concern. I really do want to make sure that I put forth the best project I can to the city council, to you as neighbors, and I'm hopeful that this project will be successful, but I understand that it's a process. And the process is designed in such a way so that corrections, adjustments, and modifications can be made. I feel that our presentation today is representative of the fact that I am listening, and I am more than willing to make the adjustments I can to make this project hopefully acceptable to the neighbors, but also setting it up for success for a development project and an adaptive reuse. I mean, this is a school that is decommissioned. And yes, there's talk about knocking it down, putting in single family homes. That's not a project that I'm prepared to even entertain. It's a huge financial shift. And it's something that, I mean, the council, as well as the school district will have to consider, but it will have a much different financial impact. I can't comment on that today. I can say thank you for the input that I've received in prior meetings and personal conversations. I will continue to keep that airway open, and if I can make this project better as a result of an individual that might have an impact I'm unaware of, I'm always open to doing that, and I'll do the best I can to make those adjustments. So.
Thank you, David. Yes.
I just have a question, Mayor. With the addition of these 18 houses going from 5 to 18, I have two goals. First of all, the maintenance, such as the trash and all that, these new homes are privately held. That's up to them now. Okay, so that's gone to the city or to be hauling the trash and whatnot. Secondarily, and I hate to use the word Love Canal, but similar to Love Canal, since we have the garbage mountain next to us, are they able to even dig foundations and basements for these homes, or are they all going to be slab? Because that makes a huge difference.
So, I mean, we are proposing full basements, and I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. But I am not aware of any environmental concerns on the property, on the 9-acre parcel, that would restrict us in any way or limit us from a design that wouldn't be a traditional or conventional home that all of you reside in.
As soon as you put the shovel in the ground, turn out the lights and see if it closes. Quite honestly, I don't trust a bit of what they did to the mountain over there. Yes, they finally planted grass on it. Woo-hoo. But I still think we've got seepage. I live across the street, the neighbors whose houses are right up against it. They're afraid. They're afraid. They wish they would have been involved. We have people that bought houses up against that mountain and didn't know a thing about what was going on there. Now they own the house, can't sell it. All right, now you're digging holes in the ground and you're asking for more. Come over, and that's why I'm asking if that study you did says, well, there's nothing there. Well, that stuck a 3-foot rod in the ground and said there's nothing there. Big difference between 3 foot and 10 foot. Would you agree?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and obviously, once again, I've been giving no indication that there is an
The
environmental.
indication would be when you put slabs down and build a house on top of it, you can't sell it. No offense, I like your project to a point, but I don't think the answer is there when it comes to the mountain.
I do want to, so in terms of the environmental due diligence, as I indicated, we did a phase. Phase 1 is not meant to be all encompassing. It's a survey, it's a report. In connection with the construction of the single family homes and the new multifamily building, we will need to do some additional geotechnical testing. That will be submitted to your building department, Eric, for review and approval. We have to make sure our foundation designs are based on soil conditions. Now, in the unlikely event, although we acknowledge people live close by, we encounter something that's an issue, we will have to modify our design. We certainly acknowledge that. And I want to note that one of the projects that Dave and I worked on near the South Campus, we had phase 1 and we did encounter some material. It needed to be handled properly. It was disposed of, everyone was aware of it. So yes, could that occur? Yes, but the homework we've done to date suggests it won't, but that's something we'll have to take a look at as we get into the actual design and construction of the homes.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Amy, I live on Mount I would be big single. My driveway is the end of one of the driveways. So, I guess, and I don't know if I heard you correctly, but you said that you were, interested in having the rezone for a particular amount of apartments that you're now proposing. And then the calculation was there's only a 10 unit difference. Was that correct or incorrect?
No, so under the original plan, the allowed density in R2 zoning would be 195 units. Under the original plan, we were showing, including the homes, a total of 185 units. And now, as a result of the elimination of those townhome buildings, we're at, I believe it's 138 total units, which is 18 single family homes, 60 units in the reconversion of the school with the second floor addition, and one new multifamily building. We're now only proposing one new multifamily building on that. So we're way less than the density under our agreement.
Okay, I just got some more of that. I've been in my home for 30 years. My kids born and raised here. My plan is, as an older adult now, that was my plan to stay. I mean, this is where our children grew up. They could go outside, on the sidewalk, play outside, play in the front yard. I don't know that my grandchildren will be as safe doing that now that they come and visit, once we have all of these buildings and people and traffic there. And I think that needs to be considered when you're looking at a rezone. My concern is that a rezone is being looked at to, I'm not saying that this isn't a great project. I think it's a great project. So I think it's great for our area, not specifically, but I don't know. I guess I want to be convinced by the people that we vote in position to speak for us. I want to be convinced, why do you think this is the ideal project and it's going to benefit the city of Tonawanda, let alone our little own little ward, our own little community? So I guess I just need to see that, like, people in other wards, they may not care. They're like, oh, we're gonna vote this because it's taxes, it's gonna be great for us. We're gonna have lower taxes. I've never seen lower taxes here in the city. Okay, and we're gonna have a big project here. I don't anticipate we're gonna see lower taxes. We've talked about the fiscal budget, it's going up. We know our taxes are going up anyways. So here we are. I just wanted to make sure that the people that I voted to be in a position to speak for me have considered my thoughts, our thoughts, and to know that that is the best thing that you can do for us in our community.
Thank you.
I understand that you need money to make money, but has the city, looked into working with the school district, purchase the property to, sell the property or build single family homes?
Well, the city actually doesn't have that kind of money to purchase the property for what they need. The school needs the money, of course, to pay their bill because they have money that they put a roof on many years ago, and there's money still due on those loans. So I know they got quite a bit they need this income. So the school, we don't have that kind of money to pay for the school. I wish we did.
Well, if I'm correct, at the last meeting, they mentioned something about they were purchasing the property for $675,000 for a property that's fully assessed at $2.4 million. And they mentioned that you can't touch a new built house for $300,000. So they're getting this property, 50,000 square feet, 9 acres of land for the price of 2 houses, and the city can't work with the school board to take this over some way, shape, or form.
We raised our taxes 3.4, 3.75 the year before, and went 2.7 million into our contingency fund. No, we don't have that kind of money.
When was the last time that the city of Tonawanda was able to put in a new residential neighborhood?
Right, we don't have the space to do it. You're right, absolutely. We are a small community. We don't have the areas to do that.
Because my old neighbor, who passed away now.
Right.
We moved up there, in 2005, he called it God's country up there. It's so quiet and peaceful, as all the people who live up there understand. And even though it's a residential neighborhood and this is residential property, it's commercializing it. We're the last, where we have a spot.
You are, you absolutely are, absolutely are. Yep.
One quick question.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
Yes.
the rezoning, is that, being looked at strictly for them? Or was it gonna be, you're looking for, to rezone it for some other reasons?
There's no reason.
Well, they actually came to the city to look for it for this project. It had to go from a R1 to an R2 because of the building, and the things that they're doing in it. That's just our zoning, the way it's zoned right now.
And we filed I want to make clear. we
You did.
filed it.
You did.
Right.
Not us.
Strictly because you guys wanna build it.
That is correct.
That's right, yes,
Yes.
yes.
The gentleman in the blue in the back, he's been raising his hand.
What she said, I really what she said, I want you guys to get these thoughts on things. Once this gets rezoned, there's no stopping.
Right.
The rest of the city, it's like she said, everybody we talked to outside of the hill, they're ready for yes, going through. This is like the last defense stopping us. Rezone, correct.
Can I make a comment on that? The actual vote is gonna be during the school board. We are voting on the rezoning. The public is gonna vote on the city. Will vote at the school board meeting.
Well, yes, zone it, then it's just gonna be voted through.
Well,
That's not
then you,
true.
I
That's
mean,
not true.
if you guys want to campaign, if you guys wanted to bring together a proposition, if you wanted to go out there and convince the voters of the other wards to vote no on this project, that's an option. You're telling us to get out there and vote no on your behalf. To answer that, what I'm saying to you is, you're saying that we're voting on the rezoning, but you're telling us to convince you guys, because the other people in the other wards already want this, but we don't know that because the vote won't take place until May. So there is a mechanism in place, regardless if the council votes yes or no on the rezoning. The mechanism in place is a citywide vote that's gonna take place in May.
Black people are drilling R1.
The R1, R2. The whole city is controlling whether or not this deal goes through.
But once that zoning goes through, any project can come through. So what I'm saying is, I guess what we're all saying is, are you choosing to rezone this too soon? Like, why are we rezoning that? Because why? You don't think that there's.
Well, no, they put the application in and now it comes in front of the council, whether it's got to go from zone 1 to zone 2 for theirs to continue, or they can't do it. So it comes to this here first, then it's got to go to the school vote, it's got to pass to the school. And then from the school vote, June, it comes to the citywide vote. So there's a lot of,
It's zoned. You're not
Right.
gonna change that again.
No.
So if you choose to zone it to R1 and then something doesn't happen, it doesn't work out. It'll always stay the same. It won't go back to R2, right?
Correct.
That's what, I guess that's. what
Just to
we're
let you know too, there was one bidder for Mullen School, one bidder, and that was it. Nobody else, and everybody says, and those were set up back in 58, 59, that you could knock them down and put houses there. There is the builder, I believe, in Western New York right now will knock a school or building down because of the cost. I don't know. You guys are.
Less than a year ago.
But they, under that, there was no bidders. What do? Let it sit? What's the guarantee? So it's like, what was it, $2,000 a month for upkeep on that building while it sits there?
When they built it, they made that shit. They knew this was gonna happen. They knew it was gonna happen, and now it's a quick fix.
I don't think it's a quick fix. There's gonna be a lot of thought into this. This is just, I'm not flipping a coin, say yes or no. I don't think you're.
hold on, quick. Okay, please, one person at a time. Yes, Debbie?
Pay taxes.
Well, I understand that, but
Pay
they're,
taxes.
it's not that they don't maybe know, they don't obviously know the project. It's not gonna take the time as we have to figure it out, how it's gonna impact us. So the rest of the boards are gonna vote because, oh yeah, it's a new project, bringing new people and stuff, and no idea how it's gonna impact us. But yet there are 3 parts of the vote, we are only one. Even if everybody in this room, in this board votes no on it, it still can go through because the other boards would vote yes. It's not fair to us. Why?
Can I answer one thing?
Go ahead.
As Mr. Fisher,
We have a vote, it is just affecting us.
because everybody's city, if you pay taxes, it's your part of your city. Mr. Fisher had made a comment before about if you're that whatever, hate it, then campaign, do whatever you have to do, talk to your, this is Tonawanda. And I've always said all my life, I'm 73 years old. If something happened on 2 Mile Creek, and within 2 hours, it'll be in Millstream Village. That is a guarantee in this city. And you know that. So you talk to your people. If you don't like it, talk to your friends, your neighbors, whoever else.
But now the responsibility is on us, and we didn't ask
No.
for that. Yes, you're telling us we
Okay.
can be on the boards to convince them to vote no. So it's up to all of us individuals, this one
No,
board,
that's
to
not-
convince the boards to vote.
All right, the next, yes, ma'am?
Don Cameron, 17. You guys all remember 10 years ago, maybe a little longer, Highland Elementary. Okay, Highland Elementary is literally 6 doors from my house. I complained, but guess what we have there now? I'd rather see people incorporated in there, even though they're not paying property taxes. The property is well maintained, never had an issue with any of the tenants that are in there, and they are all tenants that are in there with some sort of drain into it. Okay? Give me a second. That building sat vacant for 5 years. I saw homeless people breaking in. They walked in, pipes burst. The amount of money that it cost the city to repair that prior to it even going up for auction was ridiculous. Not that I'm for this project, I think it's wonderful for the city. I understand where you're all coming from, but we have to look at the bigger picture. Right? People in my neighborhood, we all complain, I was a resident that lived right across the street from the front yard, where these people have been exited. Not once have they gone to the current owners and say, you know what, your tenants were bothering me with their headlights. We have lights that are actually above the fence that are going into the backyard. We have to get it. I didn't beg you guys to come to my board and say, you know what? You don't want this in our name. I'd rather have something in that school, and I don't know what it should be.
But your footprint of that school didn't change.
It
They're
didn't.
putting a little city in
Mullen
there.
didn't change.
Correct. So if that, if they have the school same.
But they didn't, what they didn't, they put in, so they took out the building inspector. So behind there is a parking lot that houses, I'm gonna say probably 100 cars.
Said from.
There's a little tiny playground that is just for the tenants that have their children that are there. Kids in the neighborhood.
Ms. Cameron, you have to move on, but thank you.
Sir, yes, in the back.
I know we looked at the traffic going in and out, that looking at the sewer. What about all the other utilities? Can they handle 138 new people? Our electrical just 2 years ago went out every other day on the hill. And that's because the town's Tonawanda are constantly putting new buildings and new stuff just on the other side of the garbage.
They just put that thing in on them.
That's why they put the substation in, put in.
That's why it's on there.
The water pressure, and my house, I'm gonna have problems with my water pressure, I don't now, so you're putting 138 new units. You know, people already complain about the internet up there. What's that gonna do for our internet? You know, it's. What about all our services? They could affect that too.
Any other questions? Again, this is questions and answers. It's not being voted on tonight. Yes, sir.
I'm just gonna piggyback off what you said. Actually, I'm here tonight on board on this, but I'm super sad, kind of. And like what she said, like, I don't think you even realize what's going on in the city as this, where I own a landscaping company. And do you know the volume of houses that I have where this is one of the cheapest places in the country to buy property? I have at least 20 customers that are from California that bought residential homes. Cause they're like, it's a joke. I can buy a house for $200,000 and rent it out for $2,000 a month. And it pays for itself. But this is the thing. Would you rather have somebody who's a landlord that owns 20 houses on the hill and out in California that's never here to maintain the pipe breaks or maintain the property when the lawns need to be cut or snow plowing or anything that goes wrong? If they can't find somebody to fix it or can't find a company to come take care of it for them, you're gonna be stuck looking at it. You try to look at 30, 40 homes bought from out-of-staters that are literally profit. Or would you rather have a company that's local, that will be held accountable on a commercial level
to take care of that infrastructure that you're worried about looking at. You're hiring small companies like me that I can't even find a place to work. We have to home.
But those aren't the only two options.
No, I'm not saying, but I'm just, that's my statement, where like, just from a personal standpoint, I own a local company here. And I have at least 20 or 30 customers out of 100 that are from California, LA.
No, I
Florida.
understand what
It's
you're
crazy,
saying.
Where this is at least a local, you're dealing with one land that's all accountable for all those.
Right, but I mean, there's other options.
Yes, Marie, back in the back. In the
I'm
back?
not saying that this is, we should go for it or not, it's just like,
This is tax free, or the tax.
Oh, no.
Tax free, they can switch the tax.
Sean?
So the owner will be responsible for the property taxes for the multifamily components. And then in terms of the single family lots, the ultimate home purchaser obviously will pay the property taxes for that.
And just to piggyback on that, will there be some kind of property manager that takes care of maintenance?
Absolutely.
Shoveling,
will that be subcontracted out or is that a private entity?
That will, so it will be subcontracted, I think, typically on an annual basis.
So while I understand that this is a huge.
We can beat this up.
About 50% parks. We're looking at 25% tax increase in the next 2 years. We already just got our houses assessed. And that hit us all very hard, and nothing is getting any cheaper. Think about that instead of.
It's 100% of everybody that's in this room.
Yeah.
That's.
Yes, ma'am.
She talks about tax revenue on what you guys would have to pay as those landlords for all of that. Is that on the purchase price?
No, so the assessment would be.
675.
No, so let me answer. So the question came up last week too. So how will the property taxes be determined? So we envision obviously investment $20 to $25 million. Ultimately, once the project is completed, the multifamily components, your assessor will establish an assessed value and the taxes will be based on applying the tax rate for that assessed value. And that's why I can't give a concrete answer. You know, they have to do that when we get there. I do want to address one of the questions. Actually, Dave and I were talking about, it was actually a good question. I think I forgot what your name was. So Amy asked the question, well, if you rezone this, what guarantee do we get if somehow this goes away? So I think we can answer that, and Councilmember Fisher followed up. Ultimately, if you approve the rezoning, that's not the end. It's got to go to the school board. I mean, it has to be the referendum, May or June. So if this board deemed it appropriate because there's a concern, well, if somehow that falls through, or for some reason, Mr. Sutton and his partners don't close on the site, if you wanted to make the rezoning contingent on that approval also occurring, we'd be okay with that. The benefit from the perspective of the city and the residents would be that if for some reason the project goes away, the rezoning stays R1, meaning if someone else wants to do something, they would have to come back and explain the merits of their project. It's actually a fairly good comment, and I think, Dave, we're okay with that, right? So we would be okay with the rezoning being approved, not tonight, if you approve it, making it contingent on the approval of the referendum.
We don't have a chance to do that, so I wouldn't like me to say that.
Sure, I was just trying to address the question.
No, that's good. Appreciate it.
Addressing that.
Yeah, that's all. And I do want to note, this is a tough place to do the back and forth, as we know, it's common council. That is the reason we held scheduled a second meeting. So some of this dialogue will continue. I just want to, it's tough to do in this environment, but we will be meeting with you again next week.
Can our council representatives at that meeting so they can hear our concerns?
That would be up to them. What I found.
I understand that it's very respectful that they cannot. Not that we would trust them if they leave, but trust that they can come and hear what the rest of the comments are from all of us. In addition to what-
That of course is totally up to them. What I have found in the past.
And applaud you guys.
But I do want to
I'd like to make note, I was at that meeting. I was there.
But I also want to do note, in the past, we've been to hundreds of these meetings. What we have found is when elected officials are there, it turns more into this positioning and arguing, and rather than the back and forth. And it was the back and forth at the last meeting. As we all recall, the meeting didn't start out well. We didn't get very far into our presentation. But by the end, at least, we don't all agree. But everyone was cordial, everyone was being professional. And it is that input we received that resulted in these substantial changes. So.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So if it's rezoned and it is now, this is the plan,
Yeah.
What is stopping you guys from changing this
Good question.
after you get everything that you did? What is
So let me answer that question as well, because that is a very good question. We would also be willing to propose, and I would have to put it in writing, an additional series of zoning conditions that would limit the density, meaning we'll limit the density to 18 single-family homes. We'll limit it around the edge, we'll limit the density of the multifamily units, set aside some other conditions. Yeah, I would be more than happy to propose a series of conditions. You have a city attorney who's quite competent. He would review those and you could review those at your next meeting. So yeah, maybe we can do that. And again, it addresses the issue of you rezone the land, somehow this deal doesn't happen. And someone who's not credible, like Mr. Sutton's team, comes in and says, guess what? We want to build 195 units. We want to build a 5-story building. No, we can make sure that doesn't happen. So yes, we can address that.
Yes, sir.
I either have a couple of comments or questions. At the last meeting, I think most people who were there, you mentioned it was a $30 million project. And a little while ago, you mentioned a $25 million project, and a few minutes ago, you mentioned it was a $20 or $25 million project. I was wondering which one it was.
I could address that.
That's-
So again,
I mean, that's a big gap.
right, anyone who's done anything since COVID-19 began knows that the prices change by the week. If we had to guess today, the best projection would probably be about $25 million. But there's a lot of homework to be done, meaning putting another floor on a school has some challenges. Dave is up at the task and he can do it. But the range would be bare minimum 20 million. There's no way it's gonna be 20 million and potentially up to 30. And then it is true. And again, by the time you start it, construction costs can change next month, 2 months. Dave, if you want to add more.
Yeah, the adjustment to the budget, which once again, there's no real substance to it, it's more of a budgetary. But the adjustment is the change in the project, shifting from townhouse style apartments to single family homes, reflects that adjustment, the overall investment.
Yeah, and that is true. I want to note the budget, the total investment is less than it was a week ago, because think about it, we eliminated 60 units.
And then just one more thing is, I know they said that, or somebody mentioned about, if they were to resell the project, sell their project or whatever. I know there's no guarantee on that, but, if they chose to, like in 5 years or 10 years to sell it to like nonprofit, then to get tax money, right? Sell it to single family house on the outside, obviously. And there's no guarantee that, he could say he's never gonna sell it, and he could sell it in 20 years, 10 years, it could jeopardize the future of our city. He sells to a nonprofit, which has happened in the city before.
Any business,
Right.
any business. But, if you're a business person, you're not in business to lose money.
And I do want to know, it will take many years, over a decade, to recoup that investment.
Oh, God, yeah.
People that invest in real estate know. And again, and I think the change is really important. Now along the perimeter, ultimately that won't be owned by Mr. Sutton and Mr. Grenard. Those will be single family homes, part of that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that was input we received.
Again, there's another, gonna be another session on the 12th at Fletcher School. So if any other questions could be answered, then that would be fantastic. I think that would be a good thing to do because we can finish the council meeting. It's already 8 o'clock. And I did not bring my sleeping bag, so I think we can, I'll say that, if there's any other questions, I'll ask it 3 times. Are there any other questions? Yes.
We have
Yeah.
one question.
I just have one question. We were talking about earlier how the notices only went out to homes that were 250 feet. I was at the last meeting and I understand, Amherst are 600 feet, 250. But I think part of due diligence on your part would be including far more than just the immediate area. I mean, the people that live on Hackett, I mean, I have friends that live throughout the city and just today, someone said, oh yeah, they're turning it into an old folks home. But so people are not even informed. And my fear is that they're going to vote on something that they don't know what they're voting on. So I would appreciate it if this went out from at least High Street up to my street or to Brookside. Because, if 100% of the city if the voting is being open to everyone, then I think everyone should have the information. And a lot of people, elderly, they're not on the websites, those types of things. So and I'm not trying to sway somebody either way, but that's just so people can make an informed decision. Oh, yeah, let's go to this meeting and see what it's about, just so they can make an informed decision. If you could just cast that net a little wider.
Thank you. My next question is to the clerk. Is there anybody online, clerk, that wants to speak?
At this time, there is no one among the Zoom participants who has asked a question or wanted to comment. I've reminded everyone in the chat more than once that they are welcome to do that, but no one seems to be coming forward to ask a question or make a comment at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I'll ask again, are there anybody else, any other questions?
Thanks for listening.
Any other questions? I gotta do it 3 times.
This question, just, sorry, I can't stop.
Where's my sleeping bag?
Well, one thing, I guess I just want you to know too, you said your target demographic was, you know, the seniors, elderly, either, I can say that, it was empty nesters, like, and young professionals. I know, like, as a young professional, having younger kids, they want to be around things. They're gonna be around seeing family homes.
Yeah.
You know, so there's no spot coffee, there's no immediate grocery store, that kind of thing. So those kind of things, I don't know what and where you can get that from, but I'm just saying, there's not even a playground if you have somebody that's a single parent
Yeah.
in your
I
utility.
did in the neighborhood presentation suggest that it's not a targeted market. It seems to be the market that is attracted to this type of housing opportunity. Because interest in maybe selling a single family home, but not planning to leave the neighborhood. Or young people, they're growing up in the neighborhood, they very much enjoy the neighborhood, they don't want to move out, but are planning on moving out of their parents' house. It doesn't mean we're exclusive or promoting that demographic at all. I'm just saying that tends to be a little bit more of a trend. For an example, we're open to all families, all different people to rent. And I think that's what creates a positive community. Your neighborhood is a strong neighborhood, and I think the neighborhood itself is a reason why people would want to live there. And I realize there's no spot coffee there. And if somebody wants to be next to the spot coffee, they're not gonna rent the house, but you're right. But if somebody wants to move out of their house and be close to their family, friends, neighbors, this is an opportunity. Or somebody wants to sell their house and stay close to their family, friends, and neighbors. Those are the opportunities that we see here. It's a strong neighborhood, it's a good neighborhood. This is a great representation of how solid the neighborhood is. And I think that this is a different housing option, but it's a needed housing option. And I hope it to be a desirable one.
Thank you, David. Yes, ma'am?
So for the parking spaces, how can we guarantee this is going to affect our street parking? They're going to be right to the apartment. I just moved here to my apartment, I would have to walk multiple times.
Right.
Especially during times of snow removal.
Right.
I had a grocery store. But there's a way
So,
for parking there.
yeah, if you compare the project that we're presenting today to maybe the apartment that you're experiencing, we find the code requires 1.5 parking spaces per unit, which is usually more than adequate, but not always. Our design is 2 parking spaces for every unit. That doesn't mean that everybody has 2 cars. That means that there's more than ample parking spaces for the apartments. And we have no interest in spilling into the neighborhood and talking about parking on the street or changing the dynamics of the neighborhood because of overflow parking. So we may be excessive in our parking requirements as per your minimum standards, but we would rather be excessive and make sure there's more than an abundance of it so that we don't run into problems because we don't want our tenants or the neighborhood experiencing any negativity.
Is that an offer, say that? We'll come to the restaurant to
Yeah,
family, friends.
that's all factored into, and you know, there'll be more than that, yeah. So there'll be a high percentage of available parking spaces all the time that will address for visitors and for multiple cars for apartments. Thank you.
Okay, I've already asked the clerk on the Zoom, so I will ask one more time. Is there any other comment on the public hearing? And I would like to say that the public hearing is closed. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Oh, no, it is.
Thanks for everything. Thanks for everything. I appreciate it. Take care, Mike.
Now we gotta finish the meeting. Now we gotta finish the meeting.
I'll make it as quick as possible.
That your work.
Yeah. I'll turn this into David and feed into David and those guys. You live there.
I know, but I'm in district.
Any school teacher that are pushing in the district should vote. I mean, I'm sure I'll say no. but
Mike, I get my phone, I get reads.
Should we call attention so we can continue this?
We still have to continue our meeting. Our meeting has not been adjourned and we still have some more business to conduct. So if you would like to talk with the developer, please do so out in the hallway.
It'll be quick.
You're gonna read that whole thing?
Yeah, fast I am.
You're gonna be here till 9 o'clock.
Oh, no.
My wife is missing her ice cream Sunday. She gets, Barbara gets very.
You gotta get a Jim to pick it up on the way home.
Oh, yeah.
We gotta get him out in the hall. John, we gotta get him out in the hall somehow.
But Anderson.
Pardon? Oh, my God.
Bananas.
Love it. I fun.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, the mayor,
Please take your conversations out in the hall. Thank you, please.
the mayor's gonna give
Thank
his
you.
state of the city address.
Oh, wow.
I'm going 2.5.
What a tough crowd. Well, thank you, Bill. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody who came to the meeting tonight. And also thank who stayed, who may want to listen to the state of the city. But I'd like to say that I want to thank my staff, my administrative assistant Sharon Stewart, executive secretary Judy Kurtzworth, and along with each of the department heads, who a lot of them are here tonight, for their support, and the common council for their hard work and contributions to make the city of Tonawanda a really nice place to work and live. In 2023, it was an interesting year because as a community of roughly 3 square miles, our potential growth heavily depends on redevelopment of older shuttered buildings, transforming them into new and exciting opportunities, and the anticipated growth potential expected from Spalding and the Eli project, which is the Karuba one, really didn't materialize, and it didn't move as quickly as we expect. So in 2024, we have a promise of doing this, and I think it's going to be working out because we do have the contracts for Spalding, and Mike Rua has put them out in the mail to them, so they have them in their hands now. So that's fantastic. The city of Tonawanda is very fortunate to have the dedicated professionals who each day bring forth not only the knowledge and experience, but also take the initiative to develop and implement new ideas and to reinforce my commitment to not only work moving forward for our city, but also to be mindful of the health, safety, and welfare of our residents. Mark Banks, who not a lot of people see, serves as the city director of emergency management, and as a volunteer, Mark puts in the countless hours assuring appropriate paperwork and permits that are filed during such as snowstorms, emergency situations. Also keeping an eye on leadership, up to date on anticipated storms throughout the year. Yet after the 2022 severe storm, Elliott, we saw the need for enhanced state of emergency response team. With that guidance of both chiefs, police and fire, and also the Department of Public Works, Joe Worthing, we have created a team that can assist in navigating the city through any situation and all storms. The dog control officer, Daniel Maltby, approached me about the thoughts of changing the city's dog ordinance to increase the number from 3 dogs per household to 4. And I said, absolutely not. We just can't do that. But we're getting, the shelters are getting full, and we needed them to be either fostering or adoption that could bring attention to that need. So what we did is we start what's called Mayor's Pause for Cause. No, I'm not copying anybody else. It just that it came to my attention that these dogs were getting too built up at what Kelly Swego's place on Grand Island called Pit Chicks, which is a place that they do it. I bring the furry friends come in actually twice a month to get them a home. In February 2023, our attention turned towards the increasing number of homeless individuals, which we started with North Tonawanda Mayor Austin Tyler and also Council President Jenna Cook to team up with them because, and Karen Carmen, who was a resident that worked with Buffalo and put the whole thing for downtown Buffalo in place. I was really impressed with Karen, so we formed what was called the Twin City Task Force. Our mission was quite simple, to end homelessness in our community. We don't have a lot. Maybe we're at 15 to 20 when we thought at first. Working on a donated office space at Salvation Army over the past year, a group of 30 volunteers have met with 36 unhoused individuals in the Twin Cities, successfully placing 14 in homes to date and securing over $50,000 in annual benefits as well. I am proud to share with this group with the recipient of the Salvation Army Community Partnership Award and also the Monsignor Henry Gugino Service Award. And I want to congratulate the whole team on that because we had a person die in one of our bus stops, NFTA stops on Delaware Avenue. It was kind of sad to hear that in 2022. I'm surprised. But anyway, so in 2023, the Department of Public Works, led by Joe Worthing, paved about 10 streets, cleaned about 23,000 feet of sewer lines and about 13,000 linear feet of sewer lines with cameras inspecting them, and 60 manhole catch basins were also replaced throughout the city. Again, thank you to our DPW for keeping our streets clean and plowed during the winter storms. And on top of a great job on our plowing, garbage pickup, we are one of the few cities, not few cities, we are a couple with Kenton and also Kenmore and a couple other ones that still do large pickups. I used to work and have a shop in North Tonawanda. They did not do large pickups. And so I really think that's a great thing to do. They would do it once a month. We are blessed to have that still. And so many, there's quite a few cities that still have that, and I thank them for that. The other thing we do is generating more than $12,000 in rental fees. Oops, I think I missed the page. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. Okay, the parks. I forgot about the Parks and Recreation Department. Under the direction of Amanda Loft, saw the increase of boat traffic in Erie Canal. We put up 2 new shelters constructed up at Veterans Park. And a combination of park rentals and harbor fees generated $43,000 in revenue. In Niawanda Park, Ronald J. Pelosi, we rented it out for a total of 270 days a year, or during 2023, generating about $112,000 in rental fees. This is an average of more than 22 days per month. It's unbelievable. Thank you. Summer camp, once again, was at capacity and brought in almost $68,000 in an 8-week period. And our Senior Citizen Center continues to flourish with 500 plus members. Since the fall of 2023, Mandy and her staff have introduced an additional 10 new programs for both youth and seniors in our community to participate in. As a Tree City USA, which I'm very proud to say, has earned a distinction again in 2023. Parks and Recreation crews planted more than 120 trees along with the planting and maintenance of 20 plus large decorative planters that were found their home on Main Street, which looked beautiful this past summer. Thanks in part to a partnership by our local businesses and our community group, and also a $5,000 donation from the City of Tonawanda's LDC. Thank you for that. Beautifying Main Street was always a very important goal of mine. I believe that we are quite successful with this project and with the winter decor in order for the next season in the past. I also like to extend my heartfelt appreciation and thank you to all the Parks and Recreation workers who accomplished all the above, along with softball, Kohler Pool, soccer, summer concerts, Fall Fest, Haunted Harbor, It's a Wonderful Life, and the continuous mowing and maintenance of all city parkland. Thank you. Our city's first responders, which are second to none. The fire department, under leadership of Patrick Minelti, responded about 3,271 local incidents for 2023. 163 dispatch responses were in the alarm of fire, and 39 fires mitigated and investigated for the origin and cause, with less fire limited to about $1.5 million for the $1.2 million of assessed property value. 1,796 responses for medical emergencies, and 507 of those are required advanced medical intervention. 3 required defibrillation, and 64 responses for motor vehicle collisions, and 139 fires for safety inspections, and 3 significant weather incidents regarding multiple emergency responses. I wanted to list them because I think it's important that we see the amount of numbers for these different departments. The fire department also maintains a water rescue capabilities because we're surrounded by 3 waterways, and will be replacing their current watercraft with an upgraded vessel from the Urban Initiative Grant Program, funding from the fire department donations and the apparatus replacement program, with the city's boarding on the 3 waterways. The safety of our city workers is always at the great concern of mine, especially those who work and involved in confined space. So I sat down with Chief McNulty, and we worked very closely to create a new confined space program that will guide and assist all city employees who are tasked with working in areas of confined space. The City of Tonawanda Police Department is led by Chief Robert Clance. During 2023, officers made 449 arrests and issued 3,743 summonses and wrote 2,469 parking tags. Summons and fines generated $257,951.00. It's a good amount. Generated $74,525 in dollars and increased $6,300 in dollars from 22. So it's a nice increase. A $10,000 Disney grant provided the funds to update NICE communication system, while Erie County funding $20,000 from legislator John Bargnesi, who provided funding to purchase a scenario-based virtual firearms training program system, which I talked to John Bargnesi tonight about. Community policing is important to the men and women of the City of Tonawanda Police Department, and I was very happy to see the creation of the Coffee with a Cop during the summer of this past season, and the return of the National Night Out. City of Tonawanda is fortunate to have fine men and women for both the City of Tonawanda Fire Department and Police Department serving our community. Thank you for all you do to keep our residents safe and our community safe. The Office of the Building Inspector, led by Eric Lindhurst, generated 451 residential permits, 33 business permits in 2023, and his team responded to plumbing, electrical, infiltration, variances, and contractor permits. And the big one is 742 complaints that he and his assistant have to work on and go to each one of them. Thank you. And finally, the City of Tonawanda Engineering Department, led by Jason LaMonica, in 2023, engineering project tabled and reflects 34 projects that are in various phases, from study ongoing phases to design phases, grant sign up, construction ongoing, and finally completed ones. The project cost total is, oh my God, 25,753,000. It's a lot of money, with grant amounts awarded to 19,457,000,000. Including those projects, the cost is for the sidewalk program replacement is $150,000. So a lot of people are concerned about the sidewalks. The sidewalk, we get allotted $150,000 basically to work on the sidewalks, with the cost of the concrete going up from $180 for a 5x5 to about $500 for a 5x5 piece of concrete. So it has gone up quite a bit. And our engineering department has a lot on their plate, and they are their professionalism and competence shines through each and every day. I want to thank Jason and his crew for the work. Moving forward, although very proud and excited to be the mayor of the City of Tonawanda, my concerns for the future is the rising cost of labor, products, and material in this low-income community of 15,100. I can see the main component the city was missing in 2023 was revenue. I talked to our old accountant at Bill Street all the time about it. Bill and I would talk. We need more revenue. I'm happy to report that a few things are going very well. One is the balance in our general fund was $9 million beginning of the year, and the city has just notified of our A1 rating by the Moody's Investment Service. That's very good. Letters of intent have been received and sent out regarding the Spalding Commerce Park. There's an 8-acre and a 6-acre lot, and they are both in the mail. I want to thank Mike Rua for getting that contract out in the mail ASAP so we can enjoy those revenues. 77 Young Street is moving forward. We sat down with the 2 owners and Mike Rua this past week, and the Kruger Group also projects on Fillmore 20, 30, and 40 Fillmores called the Eli Project. They are in phase 1 and finished phase 2, and they're waiting for the DEC to give them recommendations on how far they got to dig down before they move forward. In the coming weeks, we will be reassembling the DRI committee and begin working with the many state and local agencies that will assist in the city with the process. Projects include private development, building or reimagining their properties to complement our downtown district and its needs. Also included in the project, to the properties, however, this initiative does not include the Tonawanda Housing Authority $75 million project, or the Hine Street project, or the potential Riverview redevelopment. Also, let's not forget, maybe once all these exciting projects move forward, perhaps the Little League Drive development may enhance David Holmes to get out there and do something. I would love to see that done. There's so many exciting things happening in the city of Tonawanda with development, and development brings permits. Permits brings revenue. Revenue brings the development to bring in, like let's say the American Legion, where the American Legion is, they're going to be doing an event center, a 400-person event center. That event center is going to bring events into the city. We have nobody that can do a event center like that. With luxury apartments, seven luxury apartments on top. So they have a wedding, they rent up the top, they have the 7 apartments, and then they rent it down below in our downtown footprint. With the boat docks being redone, I just think it's a great thing for us to envision where the city of Tonawanda is going. To me, it's exciting. I am really excited about it. I think everybody in the council and the city should be, because that's where we're gonna get revenue coming in. We don't have the revenue coming in. We are a small 3 acre or 3 acres or 3 acres, 3 miles by 3 miles. We don't have room for growth. We really don't. So we got to make it, and this is what we're doing with downtown. We were reimagining downtown, and that's a vision that I've had. We received the DRI now as a group, and as a team, we are going to make this happen. And I thank you for your time. I am excited to stay in this position and live in this position, and I'm extremely proud to serve the mayor of the city of Tonawanda as mayor. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mayor.
Wow. Excellent. Thank you.
With that said, Mr. Fisher, do you have anything? You go around the room? I'll start with you tonight.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
The Chris Fisher Gives Back program, where I donate $50 of my salary every council meeting. This week, it will be the Twin Cities Meals on Wheels. Next, DRI committee. Just want to say thank you for the work and the hours they put into that. The rezoning on the Riverview that we saw, or we heard tonight. Contact your council person. Tell them if you're for or against it. There's 4 wards out there. Everybody who's talking here is mostly from the 4th ward, 1 from the 2nd ward. Let them know how you feel. That's the only way we're going to get proper information moving forward. Yesterday, there was a car accident at the corner of Main and Fuller. It took down the electrical pole, and as it hit the electrical pole and took it out, it immediately took out the power to approximately 140 houses. It was spread from Tussing to Minerva, Franklin to Delaware. It's a huge thing. I happen to live over there, so I showed up within minutes of it happening, just to call the mayor and say, hey, what can we do? The mayor had Niagara Grid on the phone right away. They had people out. Detective Harmon, Lieutenant Foles from the police department were out there handling it as soon as possible, and Captain Page from the fire department had them out there getting the street cleared, tow truck, and power was restored to most people within 2 hours, and by 2 a.m. everybody had power back on. So it was a great group effort. I want to touch on Facebook. The developers talked about it at their January 30th meeting. They said they were monitoring Facebook to hear what kind of comments and feedback were on Riverview, and that's how they knew going into their January 30th meeting. I'd like to point out that we have no official City of Tonawanda Facebook page. Closest thing we have is the City Council page. So some of these pages that people talk on and they call out the mayor and they call out the council members, myself, the councils, some members of the council, the mayor, we're blocked from some of those pages. Some of the administrators purposely block us from them and then purposely bait and say, hey, how come the mayor's not commenting, or how come the council member's not commenting, knowing we're blocked? It's like a tactic they use on Facebook. So I just like to put that out there, that emailing or calling your council person is the most direct route. Facebook's not a good option. City Treasurer, Adam, welcome. Thank you. And then my last thing is Green Beer Sunday. I said it during the comments, but I do appreciate the event that it pretty much kicks off like the unofficial beginning of the City of Tonawanda spring. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Mr. Rautenstrau. Aha.
You'll pay the
I won't see it till Thursday. You'll forget by then.
I don't want to add more to the meeting, but I have a few things that I want to say. So first of all, thank you to Sean Hopkins and Dave Sutton. Residents, thanks to the residents for voicing their concerns. there's a lot to take into consideration. A lot of factors to take in. I think we really got some work ahead of us. Secondly, I want to say thank you to everyone again to moving forward with Green Light Networks, something I've looked forward to for a long time since I've been on council. Since I started, an alternate to Spectrum. So I'm glad to see that's moving forward. I'd like to say thank you and congrats to the mayor and the entire team on getting the DRI. It's going to be something, some great opportunity for our city. I'm very hopeful to see the direction that that's going in and see some progress in our city. And finally, deserves more saying, it deserves some more fanfare. But one, welcome to our new treasurer, and it's great to have you. A lot of confidence. You can fill some of the footsteps ahead of you. You're young and you got a lot of time ahead of you to learn the job and do a great job. So welcome to it. But more fanfare for Bill. Bill Reese has been a great treasurer, a council member, just a servant to our community all around. One thing I appreciate about him is carrying out after I was on the council. Had a bit of a hiatus since he implemented and moved forward with the closing of Young Street. Kind of started his progress in our city, building up our downtown, building up our Main Street, leading to this DRI. All these things come together to build up our downtown area and our waterfront. And I appreciate you facing some minority, loud minority in that process and doing the right thing. Appreciate your time as a treasurer. You've helped me a ton. I've learned a lot from Bill. I think a lot of people have. Your public engagement has been amazing. So you should be proud of your career here, your time here, and I wish you well in your upcoming endeavor. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Sheasley.
Oh, you should see it now. I want to thank Bill. Hopefully he stays within contact and with helping the city. He's done a great job. Adam, you know what you're in for, brother. But yeah, as I say, you got a few complaints. Talk to the mayor, talk to Mr. Worthing about flooding on the end of Malden or after Canton and all that. We're gonna sit down with the residents, hopefully give them some ideas to deal with, because they've been dealing for years. And that's it. I mean, it was a great presentation. I have not made up my mind in regards to one way or another. I really have not. Do I like the money? Yeah, I understand their concern. But think back, how long was that junior high set vacant? How long? I measured it by the pigeon crap in the auditorium. It went from inches to a foot. We couldn't even go in there anymore. The cops, firemen, whatever, we were denied going entry because of the danger. So it was a long time sitting. Mr. Will screwed it up. Chuck Will screwed it up. He's the original buyer of that. And so we got to think about that too. How long is it going to sit? Thank you, Mr. Milam.
You're welcome, Mr. Sheasley.
Mr. President, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you like that, Mr. President?
No, I don't.
I know. Well, congratulations to Adam. Everybody looks up to Adam because he's 7 foot tall. Thank you, yeah. But anyways, we're gonna miss Bill. I always had a special relationship. I know Bill a long time from back in the Boys Club days, and he lived close to where I lived on Malden. He was on Walter, but we'll miss Bill. And I always had a good relationship with Bill. And he respected my position. I respected his position and his knowledge. So we will miss Bill. We do have an e-waste recycling. We got together with the Rotary and also BCR, and the city of Tonawanda is going to sponsor the event. It's an e-waste recycling event up at Tonawanda High School. It's going to be May 4th. Anything you want to bring, you can bring a carload of stuff. But you just can't bring refrigerators, dehumidifiers, microwaves, or smoke detectors. But everything else is pretty much, you're limited to those big TVs, to 3 TVs. But I'm pretty excited because we haven't had an e-event here in a long time. But it's going to be up at the high school parking lot. And yes, we will need some fire police and other people up there. But I think we can pretty much handle like we did last year with the paint. So I'll pass this around to the council and just pass it around to everybody. And the e-event, you can put it on your websites because We're excited about it because it's a good thing for the city to get rid of this junk, so we don't let them throw it in your garbage where it doesn't belong. I think that's more important. So, and then the last thing is, I want to thank everybody that's left for attending the public hearing. And because it was important to get some input, but again, we weren't voting on it tonight, but we got some really serious reactions, which was very important. And thank you to our DRI committee, because we don't win as individuals, we win as a team. And we worked on that. Actually, it was rescinded in 2022. We actually took it back because we didn't have no private companies. Why would the government or the city or the state of New York give me 10 million if I can't find a contractor to spend $1? And that's what we were up against. So we rescinded it in 22. And we actually went to work, and we met twice a month, twice a week, and almost every other day to try to get this in. We got it in on time, and we got it. So now it's time to reap the benefits. It's gonna take a lot of work, a lot of individuals to bring in from old administrations. I've talked to a lot of them, have them come in, get their input, because input is where it's at, so we're moving in the right direction. So we'll have the right people moving in to make it work, and we just gotta make the right decisions moving forward. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
President?
First of all, congratulations on a great state of the city address. I think comparing where we were last year and where we are this year, I think we're in good shape, and that's a testament to you and your office. Thank you.
And the council.
Well, thank you though. I appreciate that. Bill, we're gonna miss you. I don't know where Bill is, but he's already getting his ice cream sundae. But Bill was an asset to the city, and we are definitely going to miss him. I want to say that before I came into the meeting tonight, I thought I knew what I was going to vote for the variance, and now I don't know. There was a lot of powerful input tonight. And we're going to be tasked with weighing what's good for the rest of the city versus established neighborhoods and established residents. I think I look forward to going to that meeting next Monday and hearing some more. And we'll go from there on that decision. I don't think I have anything else. Thank you for putting up with me this evening in this role. I don't know why Jenna keeps asking me to do it. Sean, you're getting the short straw next time. But thank you for your support here tonight, and thank you for coming out. With that, I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Fisher. We're adjourned. Thank you. Oh, I didn't take a vote.
Oh, it's okay.
I say nay.
Sorry to exclude. I went to a.
You got it all in? I'll see your daughter tomorrow.
$20 donation.
Oh, you have to, yeah, I gotta go, Mario would have it. Yes. David, let,
I didn't wanna go on the record.
we gotta get the, ceremonial book from the clerk. He's gotta sign it tonight. Yeah, yeah, I'll follow it. Okay.
Bill just made sure, he wanted to make sure I signed it.
He really booked, didn't he? You know what? I was kind of nervous when he went to I was very nervous when he went to
I seen that, Adam. Seen that. All over it. I like the figure. Sure, it's. I won't push you too hard.
Hey, Adam. I was very nervous when he went to the microphone.
I knew what he was gonna say.
I didn't, but I had no idea.
I get more than that.
Oh, of course.